Alright then, England 3, Wales 0. Let's get into it. So as usual, here are my top 10 points from the game. First I'm going to go through the team like last time, and then on to individual performances yet again. Number 1, as I said, we're going to talk about the team first. Big team news, the likes of Foden, Rashford, Henderson and Kyle Walker came in for Sterling, Saka, Mason Mount and Kieran Trippier. As you'll know, I've been calling for Kieran Trippier to be dropped, and Gareth Southgate has answered what I've been saying, and Kyle Walker returns to the squad. Southgate has also been listening to the nation and pretty much everyone by bringing in Foden, and Rashford was a nice inclusion as well, as we'll go on to see further on. Henderson for Mount was an interesting choice too, especially with the rumours before the game and the day earlier that the rumour was that Henderson was supposed to come in for Jude Bellingham, which would have made more sense as they're kind of more similar profile in being a box-to-box sort of player, and Mount being supposedly the creative outlet. But Henderson coming in for Mason Mount was an interesting pick, and one that I'll go into more detail about. So with a 3-0 win this time compared to a 0-0 draw last time, what I'm going to say is obviously going to be more positive than what I said last time. And that's true, but for the first 10 minutes of this game, the defenders passed it well at the back, but they struggled to find any midfielders or forwards, which kind of made it for a cagey first 10 minutes or so. It was a cagey first half in general. As I said, in the first 10 minutes the centre backs were struggling to find forwards or midfielders. That kind of continued throughout the whole first half. It was one of the reasons why it was quite a boring first half, and it was 0-0 going into the break. But what stood out, especially compared to the last game, was the amount of running everyone was doing, the amount of pressing that was going on. It was much improved from last game, and it was one of the reasons why England kept so much of the ball and retained it so much once they gave it away. I was going to say this was due to a few players like the likes of Rice and Henderson, but even the forward line. What I was calling for last game, or what I noticed last game, were their wingers. They weren't tracking rightly, they weren't pressing rightly, and that changed this game with the likes of Rashford and Foden constantly pressing throughout. The likes of Rice, the likes of Henderson, they were always, once England lost the ball, they were constantly on the defence, constantly on the press straight away, constantly at the defenders, whoever had the ball, to try and force that turnover, which they did multiple times, especially Declan Rice, pressing brilliantly for the Rashford chance that Kane set up. That was originally won back by Declan Rice, fed it straight into Kane. Kane didn't turn and feed it through to Rashford, who should have scored, but that's how the chance came about, from an improved press. It's almost as if that USA game would give them a kick up the backside, so that technical quality can be debated, but effort and pressing, just anyone can do that, and is not negotiable basically. A lot different to last time from when I said the no little bit of pressing sort of thing. There was pressing this time, evidently. It wasn't a little bit, it was just all out full press, and there was a couple of reasons for that. Henderson being one of the main ones, I think. I think this was a clear tactic change, or Gareth Southgate forced this point home about pressing this hard to regain the ball back, because it was evident it was just in a couple of players taking initiative. This was a full team press. As I said, the USA game probably came at the right time in the tournament, a group stage game. I think Ashley Williams said this at halftime. The USA game came at the right time for England, kind of showed them what they shouldn't be playing like once they go into the knockout stages. It's just not their game to kind of sit back. Or they just know not to be too cautious now, and they should be playing on the front foot. Because once they play more higher quality teams, if they're playing too cautious, they'll just get played through, and like the likes of Brazil and France, they have the quality to put chances away against England, so you might as well fight fire with fire, play on the front foot. That's England's best chance of winning. There was one little point in the first half that I wanted to mention. Kane vacates a lot of space, especially when he's dropping deep to create. What you want from the team is someone just being able to take advantage of that space that he's created to run into. Didn't see it much in the first half, and just a point I picked up on. Number 2, onto individuals now. I'm going to start off with Phil Foden. A lot of the pressure was on him, as Gareth said it would be. Yeah, a lot of pressure was on him from the first couple of minutes. You could tell just by when they were singing the national anthem, the cameras focused mainly on Phil Foden, getting those close-up shots. But yeah, pressure was on from the first whistle. You could kind of tell that he was a bit nervous. He was feeling the pressure, just his first moments of play, basically the first 25 minutes or so. You could see his play was more about making sure he didn't lose the ball, because if he's going to lose the ball, even if he's trying things out, it's going to kind of prove Gareth Southgate that he's not secure enough on the ball. Especially for a midfield spot, he's not secure enough. Yeah, so he did just seem a bit nervous in the first 25 minutes, but he kind of broke out of his shell once England broke with the ball. It was Foden driving, getting past a couple of players, laying it off to Kane, who then created a chance for Marcus Rashford. Henderson was also involved in that as well. Him and Rashford switched rings at half-time, and this seemed to provide dividends straight away, with Foden cutting in off the left onto his weak side supposedly, but a great dribble past a couple opposition players, got at the defence, was fouled then for Marcus Rashford's free kick, which evidently went in. So Phil Foden having a big hand in that first goal. The free kick goes in obviously, and almost straight away after the kickoff, Harry Kane puts in a lovely ball for Phil Foden to finish off. The boy gets himself on the score sheet. That should do him the world of good now, but will it be enough to force himself into the team for the knockout stages? And will it be in off the left wing or on the right wing if he does start? I think Rashford on the right and Phil on the left seems to be the way to go. Seems harsh on Sterling and Saka, but if you're comparing them to Sterling and Saka, the press was the biggest difference in this game against Wales versus Sterling and Saka's press against the USA. Constantly pressing throughout, constantly tracking their runners. It was just an overall improvement. Maybe that's because of the manager's overall approach, as the whole team was doing it a lot more. But Phil Foden and Rashford pressed a lot more than the other two in the other game. And this was basically how the second goal came about. There was Rashford again pressing his man, getting the ball back, winning the ball for Harry Kane, and Phil Foden is already so high up, Kane can just cross it in straight away for Phil to score. Number 3, Bellingham balling yet again, or part 2 should I say. Brilliant first game, went kind of missing the second game, back to his form that he showed in the first game, in the third game against Wales. He was balling out. He was honestly so good. So good. With Henderson being in the midfield as well and Mount not being the creative outlet, you would have assumed that Bellingham may have taken up this mantle, but he still seemed to play his box-to-box role in this game. Rice and Bellingham seemed to stay central while Henderson kind of roamed in multiple positions on the right hand side, and this was key, as if you had Bellingham kind of as a central attacking midfielder in the front four, it would have taken away from his game as he dropped deep quite a lot of the time to get on the ball and progress further. As shown in the first half, there was a piece of play where there was some really nice footwork from him to get out of a dangerous situation and then break, and also he did pop into some attacking positions. That play where he kind of did a sort of spin on the edge of the box to lay it off for Kane and then get it back again and then play it off to Phil Foden for Phil Foden's chance was a very nice play from Jude Bellingham, who was also a monster in the press, constantly pressing throughout. I think I noticed it in the 65th minute still. Him in particular was just pressing like an absolute beast, as well as the whole team in fairness, but Bellingham stuck out. His gas tank just seems to be mental. I have it written in my notes multiple times about him pressing. There's also a note here about him, just Bellingham just being a machine really. In the second half, also a lovely chest and control down. Oh, it was just beautiful play from Bellingham. As I said in the first game, he is adding tens of millions onto his price every game. Number 4 now, Jordan Henderson. Maybe a controversial one yet again, but I thought he had quite a good game. Seen a couple of people just wanted him out, but what he provided was key to England in this game. Tactical flexibility out on the right. He was picking up right back positions, so Kyle Walker could then move forward or move into midfield. Then that allowed Phil Foden to either stay out wide or come into midfield as well. He was playing on the right wing, which allowed Phil Foden to cut inside, playing in a deep lying inside role as like where the midfield would usually be, and also pressing up high from a midfielder's position. So he's kind of playing 4 roles, kind of right back, right wing, deep lying midfield, and then pressing high in midfield. It provided a lot of tactical flexibility for the England team. So this is why I actually didn't mind, or actually kind of want Henderson in this England team, especially over a Mason Mount. Mason Mount doesn't provide that tactical flexibility in all four roles that Henderson does. Maybe this is what Mount actually does provide, like the pressing that Henderson does, but I've just never noticed it. But Henderson provides leadership, and he's constantly barking orders as well, which is another key thing. I know it's a small thing, but it is a big thing in this England team, as they just press throughout. You can constantly hear him giving praise to his teammates when they won back balls or tackled anyone. It just seemed to be a big boost for England, with Henderson being Henderson, I guess. Bellingham even talked about it after the game, just the intensity that Henderson does provide. I think Bellingham said something that gives the forwards and all the other players confidence to play and go forward themselves, which is exactly what I thought, especially with his constant praise, his constant barking, his constant pressing. He's one of the leaders in that press. That just kind of sets an intensity to the team to do that press. I think he's earned his place in over Mount. If that's who he's competing against, I do prefer Henderson in this team over Mount, just for that flexibility tactically, and he's an intensity raiser really. So yeah, if I was the manager, I would have a midfield of Rice, Henderson, controversially, and Jude Bellingham for the knockout stages. I wouldn't have Mason Mount in. He's not quite providing what the others can provide. So yeah, maybe a controversial shout, that one. Number 5 is Declan Rice now, who I haven't really spoken about this tournament. Not sure if that's a good or bad thing. I'm going to say that's a bad thing. I think he was decent in the first game. He didn't have a great game second game, obviously. I don't think anyone had a great game second game. But today in this game, his pressing was a lot better, closing down players very quickly. I think that was just the whole team yet again. I think Rice was the first instance I could see of this pressing. I think he charged someone down, got the ball straight away, and then flicked it on to Kane for Marcus Rashford's chance. So Rice was good in that play overall. Great pressing from him, great tackling, and great passing forward as well. He could have just turned around and laid it off to a centre back to restart the flow of the movement, but he just pressed straight away and went on the front foot, and that created a chance which could have ended up in a goal, so that was good from him. Also, a problem that I noticed from last game was closing out opposition outside the box for crosses or shots, etc. And there was a nice block from Declan Rice just outside the box to stop a Wales chance, or a Wales shot I should say. But yeah, with the USA kind of overrunning the midfield last game, it was an improved performance from Declan Rice this game. Number 6 now, we got Marcus Rashford, who had a terrific game. Coming in for Raheem Sterling out the left in the first half. He also, like Phil Foden, had a quiet first half. But again, similar to Phil Foden, they switched wings again and the free kick came about. He also broke into life. Sensational free kick. The technique on that is astounding. And yeah, it was some free kick to be fair to him. We know that he has that in his locker, shown by his free kick against Chelsea a couple of years ago. It's just top technique, ball striking basically. But again, like Phil Foden, he was key in the pressing up high, which is eventually how the second goal came about. It was good pressing and tackling, or winning the ball back from him, played into Kane for Kane to set up Foden. So yeah, good pressing from Marcus Rashford, especially compared to Saka or Sterling, which is evidently who he's competing for places against. I think he's walked himself into the team. He's the first winger on the team sheet, to be fair. Now, after his 3 goals, he's top goal scorer this tournament at the time of recording anyway. You could also see after the goal as well, his confidence was shot through the roof. I think this could have been after the second goal as well. He tried a fancy flick on the halfway line. That just shows Marcus Rashford is playing with a smile on his face. He's got his confidence back. Even though the flick didn't come off and he did lose the ball, it just shows his confidence right now is sky high. So yeah, good to see for England. Also for his second goal, it was a great run into the final third. Great take. Didn't turn back. He could have turned back at 2-0 and just played in the corner or whatever, but he went straight for goal. Nice step overs, nice coming inside. Decent shot. Keeper should have saved obviously, but you got to give props to Rashford for taking his chances. 2 goals, 3 goals now overall, but 2 goals in that game. Great performance from him. And as I said, yeah, he's first winger on the team sheet. Number 7 now, Kyle Walker. Came in for the appalling Kieran Trippier, if I might add. So I don't know if he had a lot to prove, but he had a good chance to stake his name for the knockout stages. And with Kyle Walker now back fit, even though I don't think he had the greatest performance, not a standout performance, let's say, but his fitness and his pace will be key with dealing with the Senegalese attack with Ismail Assar out in that wing. I think he's out in that wing anyway. And if they do get past the Senegalese, up against Kylian Mbappe on that left hand side, left wing for France, right back for Walker. As Rio Ferdinand said, he's the only fullback in the world who fancies chances versus Mbappe. As we've seen with PSG versus Man City, Kyle Walker is the man to deal with Kylian Mbappe. But yeah, I think he staked his name in the team now, although I'll talk about Trent later on. His pace is just key for the defence when good attacks and good teams will be breaking on England in future games. Yeah, no real standout moments in this game from Walker, as I said. That's probably due to Wales not being a threat going forward, but I think he's earned his place over Trippier with past performances as well, and Trippier just being as bad as he has been. So yeah, that's Walker in my team moving forward anyway. So yeah, point 8 now is just the rest of the team in general. A few points on everyone else. Starting at the back with Pickford, he made a nice save. I think it was in the second half, but he had really nothing to do. He's had nothing to do this tournament really. Moving on to the centre backs, John Stones especially had a great game. I think in the first couple of minutes you could see his confidence was through the roof. He was taking the ball, he was dribbling around people, he was cutting into midfield as well from centre back. He just seemed very confident. I think from the centre backs in general in the first half, passing wise, as I said, they couldn't find the forwards in the first 10 minutes or so, and the first half was kind of stale, but this obviously changed in the second half. Maguire not as noticeable this game because the Welsh just didn't get that many balls into the box for him to stick his head on. That's when he becomes real noticeable, when he's heading everything out of the box. Shaw continuing to do what Shaw does. Not much defensive work for him to do, but some nice passes from him again. And he's got a rest in the second half, which will be good moving forward. Harry Kane again got a lovely assist, similar to The first game, I think it was, I said last time, a striker knows where to put the ball in the box because he knows what balls he would like if he were in that position. And that's exactly what he did for Foden. Didn't even look up once, similar to the first game. He's 3 assists now this tournament, and that was another beautiful assist for Phil Foden, right across the face of goal. Yeah, good from Kane. This is when Kane creating comes in handy, or works this time. It's because you have other players in the box waiting to take advantage of the space that he's vacated. So number 9, we're into subs now. All 5 subs were made. I think it was Trent, Grealish, Phillips, Trippier and Wilson came on. Yeah, Trent especially, I was very impressed by his game. He's just looked very secure on the ball. I liked what I've seen of him, and I'd have him over Trippier going forward if there's a debate on who gets in. I'd like to see Trent come on as an attacking outlet if England are chasing a game. Just some lovely passes into midfield. Not exactly big like chance creating, but he's just willing to take risks on the ball. Provides more positive play, more attacking play than say Walker or Trippier. His lovely cushion layoff for Phillips to find Marcus Rashford in third goal was nice play from Trent and nice play from Phillips as well. Phillips was nice and tidy when it came on. It's nice to see him getting some minutes now after his injury for Man City. Some first World Cup minutes for him, and he got a lovely assist to top it off. Nice, long, accurate ball to Marcus Rashford was nice from him, and it was a bit of play that was kind of missing from the midfield, especially Henderson and maybe Rice just didn't provide that, although they did provide other things. This is one of the traits that Phillips possesses, them long balls, accurate passing, nice passing. He was just nice and tidy in general as well. Wilson again made some good runs in that second half when he came on, and some unselfish play led again to lay it off for Marcus Rashford to try go for his hat-trick as well. Wilson's never going to start, but when he does come on, he is providing some nice pieces of play. Trippier, when he came on, his first action was to lose his defender and almost create a chance for the Welsh. It seems like I keep picking on him when he plays, but if he doesn't do stupid stuff like this, I won't call him out on it. To be fair, he did have a nice block in the box later on in that second half, which I will give him credit for. Grealish didn't really set the world alight when he came on. He was just a bit like Phillips. He was just nice, tidy and secure, which is maybe just one of the things Gareth Southgate wants. He has mentioned Grealish when he's saying about how secure he is on the ball. Might be a reason why he starts over Phil Foden, is because he's so secure on the ball. But yeah, nothing of note from him really. Number 10 now, we're talking the manager, Gareth Southgate. I think he got it pretty spot on this game. The players he brought in, Phil, Rashford, Henderson and Walker, I think they were the right choices to make, and I think this is the team he should play with moving forward. So it's good to see that he's, I don't know, learning. Depends on what he does the next game. Is he actually learning, or was that just for a one-off game? But the approach to the game as well was good. Constant pressing throughout, which was key, and was basically key to their win, especially the second goal. As I've already explained, the pressing was what got the ball back for them and then created the goal. But yeah, good moves from Gareth Southgate in his approach play to the game, but we'll see what he does now in the Senegalese game. Will he bring the likes of Mount, Saka, Sterling back in? I think he'll keep Walker on. I don't think he'll go back to Trippier, but big decisions to be made with the wingers and Mason Mount. And if I had to put a bet on it, I would think he's going to go back to his favourites in Mount and Sterling. Maybe Saka might get, I think Rashford's staked his place in the team, but I think that'll be at the expense of Saka over Sterling, which is the wrong choice in my opinion, especially if you're playing Mount. Maybe Sterling gets in over Mount, but yeah, I'd be playing Henderson, Rice and Bellingham in my midfield, to be fair. But let's just see what Gareth Southgate does. But if we're talking strictly on this game against Wales, he got it spot on. He got his subs spot on as well. He made subs at the right time to give the likes of Shaw and Declan Rice a good earned rest. When England are winning, he seems to be making the right choices subs wise. And obviously if they're winning, he's obviously made the right decision tactically too. It's a lot easier to criticise him in like draws or losses, whatever. You learn more from draws and losses, I guess. That's why you can speak more about managers after the type of games than you do with wins. But with this game and this win, he got it pretty spot on. Especially with this Trent sub. I didn't think he'd do that, but bringing on Trent is what I like to see, because Trent is so secure and so he's more of a risk taker with the ball. I like that cameo from Trent, to be honest. And as the manager provided him with that opportunity, he now displayed his case for a few more minutes going forward in the tournament, especially if we're needing a goal. It's just what the manager does moving forward now. A lot of England's World Cup hopes do actually depend on Southgate. With some other teams it's just they have the players to do it, but with England you have to pick the specific players and the specific tactics, as in shown in this Wales game. The pressing was spot on. And just see, does he keep this approach up against the bigger teams in future, or does he revert to being maybe a little bit cautious? But yeah, those are my 10 points again from the England and Wales game. England 3, Wales 0. And yeah, I will see you after the Senegal and England game for a review on that as well. So yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Peace.